What we're going to cover in this homework series is the writing in selves technique that I suggest and recommend to everybody that has sessions. So begin with a private space. So do not disturb sign on the door. You want to have like a private, quiet space, and ideally having room to move in and out of the different selves or sub-personalities that we're working with, or energies or disowned selves, or whatever it might be for your particular situation and system. We need to move in and out of those. So a couch like this one, the dining room table is also great with 3 chairs or 1 chair that you can move. Or a bench space as well. And the other thing to note is it's great to have room behind the aware ego or the conscious space, as I'll show you as we move on, so that you can go into the observer place and just recall and really assimilate the different things that you've gone through. Okay, so to start with, I'll just give you a bit of a demonstration, and by now you would be aware of the different selves or sub-personalities or energies or whatever it might be that you're working with at this time. And so you have your notebook, you've got your space set up ready to go, and you've identified the selves that you're working with. And I always recommend that you start with your primary selves, because they have been established in your system for a long period of time. And also they have the heaviest weight, and they've got the most amount of information for us too, and they're a nice safe option to begin with. So let's say that I'm working with 2 opposites, and they're my primary self system. So what I would do is move into a primary self and allow it to express without censor. And this is why it's also important to have that private space, because the selves are very sensitive and they can pick things up. So if you've got other people in the room, if they've got, their judge out or their critic, or, whatever it might be, if it's an inner patriarch, then, our selves are aware of that, and it can influence the session and the selves. So we move into the self, and out it comes. And so what you want to be doing is really dropping right into that self and allowing it to really come out and sense and feel and to express. And the reason why we write is because we're activating a few of those modalities within our system, and it helps with the separation also. So you're really writing and expressing everything that self, that sub-personality, has to say and how it feels. So you talk about energetically, how it's vibrating, how it feels, where it sits in the body, all of its ideas, what it wants for your life. It's feelings and emotions, whatever it has to come up and express, whatever the role of that self is that's playing in your system, you allow it to come out, and you're writing all of that down at the same time. If there is a need to cry or, to swear or to be cranky, whatever those things are, really allow that to come out and clear out of your system, because what we're doing is clearing that stuff out. And there's no judgment about it. It's just how it is. And, initially you're just assessing what's going on with your system and how you are structured. What are your primary selves doing? What are your disowned selves, and what's happening there? So you identify that, you allow it to come out, you express, and it also cleans up your energetic system at the same time as well, which is an added bonus. So it's a multi-level technique, and the more you do your homework and you do this writing in the selves process, the more you're going to separate and develop your aware ego, or your consciousness, as sometimes I call that. So when you feel that dry in that self on this side, there's nothing else to come out, it's kind of dried, and it's had what it has to say, you move back into your aware ego space or your conscious space. So you come back into the middle, and you just look and you recall all the things that came up, and you might read your notes again, you remember how it felt, the emotions that came out, the ideas that it has, the opinions, what it wants you to do, in its opinion, in your life. And you look at it, and then you separate, you really push it away, and you use that energy that you have from your consciousness, from your aware ego, you really push it away. And what you're doing is you're developing that consciousness by doing this. So you're pushing it away as far as you can, and then you're bringing it back in a little bit closer to you. And then you're pushing it away, and this is helping with the separation of your primary self. Okay, so you push that away. And then when you're done with that, you look to the other side and you see, okay, what else is there in my system? And if you've had sessions with me, then I would have suggested a set of opposites for you to work with, so you'd already be well aware of that. And you look, okay, I'm going to bring that one out now. And you consciously move over into that space, and you drop down into that self fully, and you engage it so that it comes out. And out the self comes. And once again, you're allowing it to express really without censor. Okay, so bring up how it feels, its opinions, what it wants to do. Where is it physically in your body? You know, on a physiological sense, where does it operate from the most? Is it a head space? Is it a thinking self? Is it a being self? Is it more of an energy or an emotion? Is it intense? Is it relaxed? You know, does it want to wear green all the time? You know, what is it about this self? Allow it to come out, really express it. You know, and you might even have conversations, ask it questions. What does it want you to do? What would it do? What is this self's advice for that situation that you're looking at, etc. Once again, we're writing these things out, so we're activating a couple of modalities here. It helps with the separation, and it helps with developing your aware ego, or aka your conscious space. So out it all comes. And once again, if there's emotions that are coming up, if there's something that needs to be said or cleared, you know, like with an inner critic or something like that, you know, it may be negative. There might be self-criticism that comes up. There might be a lot of stuff that has to come out for clearing, particularly if it's been buried under the surface for quite some time, as our primary self over the other side possibly has been keeping this suppressed and under the surface. So once again, there's non-judgment. It's just freely expressing without censor, letting it all come out, write it down on the page. And then when that has dried, and you'll know when it's dried, you know, it's had what it needed to say, you come back into your aware ego space or your conscious space, and once again you look at that and you recall what's come up and what did it say, what was its feelings, you know, what are the energies in there, and you're recalling that. And you can bring that back in closer to you, and you're using your aware ego and your aware ego energy as well. And this helps with development of your boundaries, internal and external. And we'll get to that in another video. So what you do is you push that away again, and you separate from that. And then you can bring it back and push it away again. Now I'd like you to also try at this point in time picking up both of those selves that you've been working with. So, you know, it's the opposites or whatever it might be that you're working on at this time. You pick them both up and you hold them in the periphery of your awareness, as well as maintaining your aware ego in your conscious space. Now I've found this personally to be very, very effective, and it will accelerate the development of your aware ego if you are to do this on a regular basis. And it's also excellent for decision making. So you're holding both of those ideas, those opinions, those values, those beliefs, those experiences, you know, those creative solutions, all of it all at once. And then you move them both out away from you. And you can use your hands for this if you like. You don't necessarily need to. I'm just using this as an example at this time. Do whatever works for you in your system. And you hold them there, and you can even push them quite far away from you too if you want to. So right out of the room, even a couple of meters away if that's all you've got. So whatever is happening for you is right at this time. This is all a unique experience for everybody. And then you bring it back in, and you're really aware of the emotions that each of these selves carry, the energies, the feelings, the ideas that they have. the total differences. And one might be a heavier weight, one might be a softer weight. It really depends, and everybody's unique once again. So we're holding those and then pushing them away, okay? So out they go. And you can leave them there. And now something that I suggest that everybody does as well, and this will help with your development of your aware ego, it will help develop your consciousness, and it will also help with the assimilation of those separation of those selves too, and balancing out, you know, if you've embraced a disowned self, or you're balancing out something else. So you go into the observer place, and that's always directly behind the aware ego. All right, so it's a really positive thing to have that space behind, you know, your chairs that you've got set up, or however you're doing it. And so you're looking down at your aware ego or your conscious space, and really getting that separation, that observing, that distance. And then it's helpful to recall and have a look at both of the selves that you've been working with and how these selves are playing out in your life. And, you know, the ripple effects from that, you know, the relationships, the decisions you're making, the position you're in your life, and how they connect and link in because of the way they've been running in your life and in your system. And what can also happen from this space is that you can see new ways ahead, or new solutions, new options that perhaps weren't open to you before because you were running inner self and not looking from this level of consciousness and observation. So it's inner self-awareness, but it's also looking at, in a practical sense, at the external world and your relationships and your situation in your life. Now this also helps with assimilation too. So often you'll have really deep understandings, epiphanies, integrations of energies as well. So this is a very, very energetic process. It's very helpful for the assimilation and the integration on an energetic level too. So once you're feeling good about that, you know, you've recalled everything, you've observed, and you've had your time there, you come back into your aware ego space or your conscious space. And this is where you might have a look at your notes and recall them, or you might look from the aware ego and come up with some solutions, some options perhaps that you hadn't thought of before. And it's always good, like I said, to write things down because you're using a couple of modalities there. It's helping with your recall too, so that you keep in mind these different selves that are operating and playing out. And it's also good because, you know, in your environment, in your life, it will help you to catch when a self is coming in and out. So, you know, if a self is quickly flipped in and taken over, for example, a working self or a pusher or something like that, it's come in, you'll be more, okay, my pusher's just come in, and you'll be able to either push that away or do one of your other techniques that I've suggested with you. So if you have any questions, please feel free to come back and ask me. I'm going to be doing a series of these videos and just be building on them each time. So, you know, if there's something specific that you'd also like me to cover and talk about, like I said, I'll be looking at boundaries as well. That's a very important part of this work. And I really encourage you to develop your aware ego and to express all the stuff that's buried under the surface. You know, we all have that. We have disowned selves, we have shadow selves, you know, and our primaries are always often running our lives. It's great to have a look at all of that and just really identify what's happening within your system and how that's playing out in your life. So I hope you're well, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye for now. Thanks for watching.